Suffering in Gaza continues with the civilian death toll rising. Horrible stories of death and destruction plague the strip each day. This week, one story pierced international headlines and the hearts of viewers. That of a young father whose twin babies were just days old. They, along with his wife, were killed in an Israeli shelling, the latest victims of a horrific war. Just yesterday, the United States approved an additional $20 billion in military aid for Israel as the country prepares for the possibility of a broader conflict. Brian?
Right, and Trey, we'll have to see when they're going to get that, all those arms.
Yeah, Brian, I'm not sure that's where you go with that entire report, but that was reporting on what is actually happening to civilians on the ground in Gaza. We'll get to the grim toll that we reached just today. But the noteworthy thing about that reporting is it's happening on Fox News. Yes, reporter Trey Yingst happened to get past, I guess, the propaganda and actually report on one family of many, many thousands that have been affected and have been killed in Israeli strikes. This family is the family of Mohammed Abuel Komasan, whose wife and 4-day-old twin babies were killed in an Israeli strike along with their maternal grandmother. There they are on the right. And there he is on the left holding their birth certificates. In fact, that's why he wasn't actually killed alongside his family, because Abuel Komasan and his wife had actually heeded the orders to evacuate Gaza City in the opening weeks of the war. They sought shelter in Gaza City. They did what they're told, as the army had instructed. But then his wife, Jumana Arafa, a pharmacist, had given birth by cesarean section 4 days ago and announced the twins' arrival on Facebook. On Tuesday, he went to register the births at the local government office. While he was there, neighbors called to say the home where they were sheltering near the central city of Deir al-Bala had been bombed. And so that's what he came home to. And more surprising again than the fact that some of this actual coverage is breaking through to mainstream news is that it's on Fox, and also that their reporters are tweeting things like this. Here was Trey Yingst on X saying, "You can have empathy for Palestinian children who are killed amid war and empathy for Israeli children who were killed on October 7th. You can express concern for Israeli hostages being held in Gaza and for Palestinians who are suffering. Don't lose your humanity." It's almost like he forgot where he was. Fox News is in the business of dehumanizing people. They do it all the time, whether they're migrants, people of color, and of course, Palestinians. We all know that Donald Trump is using the word Palestinian as a slur against Joe Biden, against Chuck Schumer, against anyone who would dare stand up to the human rights crimes that are happening right now. Not that Chuck Schumer is doing that, but Cenk, I wanted to kick it to you. Like, this was a surprising statement. It's surprising that this broke through. I love that Brian Kilmeade, his response was, yeah, but we're all wondering whether they're gonna actually get that $20 billion. That's the most important thing about this.
Yeah, he was literally asking, wait a minute, the most important part is that we send them more bombs to kill more babies, right? Right. And I think you might have missed the point of the story. So look, the reason why this is breaking news is, number one, Fox News reporter saying something true, okay, will miracles never cease? And number two, because someone in American media treated Palestinians as human beings. So that's not unprecedented, but it is rare. And so whenever we see it on cable news, like, whoa, okay, look at that. He said you should care about Israeli babies and Palestinian babies. To a normal person, that is the most normal comment you could possibly make. They're both human beings. Your heart should break whether an Israeli or a Palestinian baby dies. But in the monstrous world of Washington, D.C., you guys all know that's not the case. 34 kids killed on October 7th, and everybody thought that was the worst thing in the world, and they should. 15,000 dead children at a bare minimum in Gaza, and all Washington gives Netanyahu standing ovation and $26 billion and says, please kill more. And if you think that's not what they're saying, you're factually incorrect. When you send someone $26 billion, that means good job, I want more of what you just did. That's why I sent you an extraordinary amount of money. Congratulations on all of the murders of those Palestinian children. Please do more. In fact, I robbed the American taxpayer to make sure you can kill more Palestinians. So that's what our Congress did. And that's what Joe Biden did. Let's be honest about it. Yes, Trump is worse on this, and he keeps saying, finish them. And he might hand over the West Bank because one of his donors wants him to. The whole American government is pathetic on this issue. But now, let me point out one more piece of hypocrisy that's monumentally important here, and then we'll get to the core of the issue. I thought a lot of right-wingers were pro-life. I mean, that's what I've been told my whole life. Decade after decade of, well, the babies. We care about babies. I don't care if they're not even babies. I don't care if they're zygotes. But the moment of conception is that pregnant women have been killed and their babies along with them in Gaza. Tons of babies who needed respirators and some form of electricity in hospitals to keep them alive, dead when the hospitals were bombed and the electricity was cut off. And babies like this that were just born, killed endlessly. Have you heard one pro-life leader in this country object? Just one. And say, wait a minute, guys, we're sending our money to, in this case, very literally kill babies. Not like theoretically, not zygote, not in a petri dish, but actual babies. And hey, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should try to keep those babies alive. Nope, not one so-called pro-life leader, because they're not pro-life, they're just anti-women.
And I would just add to that, like, I haven't seen Rachel Maddow tears for the Palestinians who've been murdered by Israeli strikes in the way that she cried over Trump separating families from their children in his awful immigration policies. She was right to cry over them. Where are the tears? Where is the empathy when it's our American taxpayer dollars being used to kill? Now we know 115 newborns, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. And again, we've reached a grim toll of 40,000 dead there. So I just want to add that the fact that we're seeing a Fox News, yes, they're a reporter, but the fact that we're seeing them tweet out, let's not lose our humanity. And you know that the Democrats really have just a little bit of daylight between their position and the Republican position. Republican position is kill them fast. Democrat position right now is kill them slow. No, we won't do arms embargo. That's a 5-alarm fire if you're the Democratic Party. It is a 5-alarm fire that you are so in lockstep with the Republican Party on this issue, and that you cannot actually bring yourself to ally with your base, 57% of whom believe that this is a genocide, and that they're more percentage of voters who believe that there should be an arms embargo on Israel now. It's politically popular, and guess what? It's morally right. I don't want to see, and every damn day, today it's these twins. Yesterday it's a mentally disabled boy mauled by IDF dogs. Every single day is like the worst imaginable thing, and it's come to light. Before I can get back to you, Cenk, let's look at the death toll. We've reached 40,000, over 40,000 dead in Gaza. It is the most detailed report on the dead that it was issued today. The ministry said 40,005 have been killed. Health officials and civil defense workers say the true toll is likely thousands higher, however, since many bodies remain buried under the rubble and of buildings that have been destroyed in those airstrikes. Again, the ministry doesn't distinguish between civilians and militants. They say 70% of those killed have been civilians. The UN in May also backed that up. In fact, they said 69%, if you want to be more accurate about it. They said 69% are women and children specifically. The Israeli military, however, they got their own numbers. They've not challenged the overall death toll released by Palestinians and the ministry, but it says that the number of dead militants is much higher, roughly 15,000 or over 40% of all the dead. It's provided no evidence to support those claims, and also declined commentary for the story, again, by the outlet Associated Press. Not in the bag for Hamas or anything. But Cenk.
So let's talk about the numbers and then the policy. So over 40,000 dead, as Franny just told you. Then we've got thousands buried in the rubble. So that number is definitely higher, and everybody agrees to that as well. 92,000 wounded, and 85% of the people of Gaza displaced. Now refugees can't go back to their homes. So it is wide-scale massacre. It's a slaughter of epic proportions. And there's no targeting or anything. There's 60% of the buildings are either destroyed or damaged in Gaza. And the bombings have killed women and children nonstop. Look guys, think about it. 70% are women and children. That doesn't make the other 30% terrorists. It makes them males, okay? And so I know the racist ideology that some Israeli supporters have, that all Muslim males are terrorists and should be murdered. But that it's not what the rest of the world agrees to. That is only the racist ideology of right-wing Israeli leaders. And so the reality is it's an enormous percentage that are civilians. But if you only count the women and children, their kill ratio is the same as Hamas. If you include the innocent men, their kill ratio is worse than Hamas in terms of civilians to fighters. And they have killed 35 times as many civilians as Hamas has. So look, I don't know that you care about logic. It depends on who you are. And if you're a right-wing Israeli supporter, you definitely don't care about logic. You just think dirty terrorists, kill them all. Who cares? We had to do it. They made us do it. You have all of these nonsense talking points going through your head. Oh yeah, they use them as human shields. Oh, they should have done it from an open field. All this nonsense, total horse crap, okay? But if you care about logic, like all other human beings, then you realize, yeah, if you kill 30 times as many civilians, you're 35 times a terrorist. Oh no, oops, they didn't mean to. How could you accidentally kill, what? Let's take the 3/4 number, right? 30,000. Israel accidentally killed 30,000 civilians? Accidentally. I mean, look, come on, you just have to be a moron to believe that. Again, I'm sorry if it breaks your heart, but there's nothing accidental about it. They meant to slaughter them and they did. And so they did it with our money. So finally I get to the talking point of, well, we have to stay there until we eradicate Hamas. How are you gonna eradicate Hamas? First of all, how do you know when they're all dead? Who comes out and says, oh, by the way, we're all dead now? What a dumb thing to think. Second of all, do you think that it works? Well, what do you think you would do? I'm just asking, be honest with yourself. No matter how biased you are, and you could be biased on the Palestinian side, you could be biased on the Israeli side. But no matter who you are, if they murdered your newborn babies, what do you think you would do? Would you go, oh yes, I love Israel. Oh, of course my baby should and my wife should have been killed. I'm sure it was all an accident, and I'm sure it was my fault as a Palestinian, and I deserve to be occupied, and I promise I will never ever fight Israel, and I love the Israelis. Do you think any human being would have that reaction? Or would they have the same reaction you're having, which is, how do I fight these sons of bitches?
Especially when you have nothing left to live for.
Yeah.
Literally nothing left to live for. Your entire family has been killed. Or how many orphans there that have been left? I think the number is something like 17,000 orphans, sole surviving family member. I mean, but that's why Israel goes back in, Cenk, right? That's why they go back to the schools they already targeted, the hospitals they already targeted, the shelters that they said were safe that are no longer safe. It's to exterminate the rest. So you don't, you kill them before they have a chance to become a terrorist.
Yeah, I mean, again, deeply racist ideology. And it's not because they're natural born terrorists and Islam is worse than any other religion and they're all savages and they genuinely believe this crap. It's just sickening to hear. I can't stand it anymore. The reality is, when you occupy people and you say you have no freedom and we'll kill your babies anytime we like, they wind up hating you. It's not because they were born anti-Semitic and oh my God, it's definitely because the world hates us. No, it's because you're slaughtering them. It's super obvious unless you're totally blinded by your bias. Stop slaughtering them and perhaps we can get to peace one day where both sides can live in peace. I know, revolutionary thought, but yes, people are so preposterously dumb in America. That's a lot of them, and almost everyone in Washington thinks, no, we'll just murder our way out of this. If we just kill enough Hamas members, I bet there won't be anyone else that comes up. I bet all the people who had their family members murdered will think, oh, it's hunky-dory and I love Israel now. And I love the Jews. I can't wait to do peace with them. And they will be completely broken and they will crawl on their hands and knees and beg for our mercy. That has never happened in human history. That is not how humans operate. They want to strike back. So you're either going to get the peace through peace or you're going to get to endless war through war. And if you sit there and you go, I want their occupation, I want those savages controlled and under my thumb, and I'll kill them 10 times, 20 times, 35 times more than they killed me. Okay, then don't get surprised and don't act all hurt when they fight back. Oh my God, what savage terrorists. So what savage terrorists have the IDF been? Look at those dead babies. The IDF did that. That's a fact.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.